Hello, everyone. It's Fred Staub and Les Jackson. Les, how you doing?
Great, great, Fred. How about you?
Good, good. We're ready to get started with a great live stream of cruise
hmm
control, and we've got a lot coming up. We'll just tease some of it here. Results are in. The F-150 maintains its number one status, number one truck, number one vehicle
Wow.
um, in the U.S., and we'll talk a little
So
bit
we're
about that.
coming up on close to 50 years, and the Alfa Romeo green lights are more affordable Tonale Compact
Yeah.
CUV. That's kind of nice.
Yeah, that's great. And so we'll talk about that. And then we'll also talk about Nissan pricing out its Ariya, which is its electric vehicle. And of course, Nissan has its troubles. That was a big story of 2024.
Yep.
But we'll see if this one does well sales wise, right?
I think it will, frankly,
Okay.
but that's okay. And developing a new line of gas-powered engines. Hey, they're still around, folks.
Yeah.
Bet some of them are going to end up in Nissans. I think we
Yes.
could safely say that.
Yep. Yep. And why are you paying more insurance if you have a Cybertruck? Okay, Cybertrucks have
I,
been in the news lately, but
I
there's an interesting reason why you might be paying more.
there is,
Certainly, if
yeah.
you have a certain insurer. So we'll talk about that.
That's right. And some people think you should just be paying more because they don't like the looks of it, but that's a different thing. And hey, Mini cuts one of its new models just before its release. That doesn't happen often.
No, no. Hey, it's all coming up on cruise control. Stay tuned. Here we go. And welcome to Cruise Control, your on air automotive magazine. Fred Staub and Les Jackson, we are here. We've got plenty to get to, Les. A lot of stories going on in the automotive
We do.
industry. And one of them involves the F 150. F 150, the top vehicle. It has maintained its standing as the top vehicle and the most popular vehicle around. So that's a long, long time, isn't it?
Going on 48 years now and in a row. So that's, you have to respect that. Let's face it. And another long time manufacturer, Alpha, has green-lighted a more affordable Tonale Compact CUV. It's a neat car,
Yeah. And it
and
will,
affordable is a great word.
yeah, Alpha's got its problems, and, they are trying to come up with unique ways to fix them, especially since there's new management at Stellantis. So we'll see if they can do that, and we will definitely keep you advised if that is something that they can do, right?
Exactly, exactly. And you have word about Nissan.
Yeah, that's right. Nissan is having its troubles, and of course, it has had sales issues, and there's talk that it might merge with Honda, and that seems like it's getting real, more real by the moment. But we're going to look at their Nissan Ariya, which is their all electric SUV crossover. We got some pricing information on this. Could be a bit of a deal because they are putting some incentives on this, as I understand already, and it is a brand new vehicle. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that, right?
We will. And Honda is developing a new line of gas-powered engines, and we both suspect we'll see them end up in Nissans as well.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. And we'll talk about those gas engines and some of the technology. And why are you paying more for insurance? Well, a lot of people are saying, wow, why have my insurance payments gone up so much for my car? And also, why are you paying more for insurance if you're a Cybertruck owner? If you have one certain insurer, well, there might be a very good reason for that.
That is true. And very much like a Broadway show that nobody wants to see, gets canceled and it's after opening night. Mini cuts one of its new models just before they were going to release it.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll talk
Ooh,
about that, and yeah, it's interesting. It could play into the fact that electric cars are not selling well, and maybe that is the
yeah.
reason for it. But we'll talk about that. But let's jump into this F-150 story, shall we? You and I have talked about this for a long time, and we have said that it seems like it's unstoppable. It is America's favorite vehicle, and it seems like there's no end in sight to it, doesn't it?
Well, that's right. They've been building the F-150 for 50 years next year. Uh, and that's it's interesting. That's older than a whole lot of people who are watching us. Um, and It's been America's best-selling truck now for 48 of those years in a row. So let's face it, this is a product that Ford holds near and dear to their hearts, and they will not screw it up.
You're absolutely right about that. I mean, if whoever is in charge of redesigning this, has to really know what they're doing because if they mess up, you could tank the company. And Ford had a pretty good year, a very good year, actually, as far as growth in 2024. And much of it is due to trucks. And much of those trucks are F 150s. Um, and one of the reasons they say it's so popular is unlike many other vehicles where you can't get a lot of different engines or options or things like that, the options for the F 150 are endless. You can get things like this F 150 STX, but you can also get a Raptor, which is a very capable off road machine. So the range is enormous, and you couple that in even with the heavy duties as well. It seems like it could take you days to order a pickup, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, and we've had in the past we've had on Ford product managers on the show, and they've told us that there are over 1 million combinations
Right.
that you can order, and I don't know how you keep track of it. I honestly don't. But when you're buying one, how do you come down to a certain number of items? How do you do that?
Well, you think about that. There are many options, drivetrains, and I think back to the early days of the automotive world where you used to have like six different engine and transmission combinations.
Yeah,
That doesn't exist that much anymore because of emission standards and how they have to get the vehicle certified, but not true in the F 150. I mean, the F 150 you can still get a V8 if you want. You can get a number of different V6s at different levels of power. You can get four cylinders. You can still get diesels. You can even get hybrids. And of course, if you add in the F 150 Lightning, you can get all electric as well.
that's right.
So you begin there with ordering that. That's got to take you at least an hour, doesn't it?
I can see that, without being bothered or anything by salespeople. I bet you could spend well over a day at the dealership just coming up with what you're going to buy.
Yeah, and that doesn't even count things like what kind of rear end ratio is it? Is it a
That's yeah,
a locking differential? Is it a non-locking differential? So it's just endless. It really is, and towing packages and things like that. So I think that's what makes
yeah.
it popular, and people are comfortable with it, and it has maintained its leadership for these reasons. And apparently, a lot of people need pickup trucks, don't they?
Well, they do. It's the biggest pickup trucks have been the biggest selling vehicle in the auto industry as long as we've known. So,
Absolutely.
hey,
Yeah.
um, a lot of people need them.
Yeah. So we'll see if we're talking about this in another 10 years and talking about how the F 150 is still the top leading vehicle. I don't think it's going anywhere soon, that
Uh,
soon. Um,
yeah.
but
Imagine if you're one of the competitors, what you have to do to beat them.
well, look at Nissan. Nissan just got out of the industry, got out of the full
Yeah,
truck size trucks, and they made some nice Titan trucks, full size trucks. So, um,
that's right.
it says it's the best selling vehicle overall for 43 years and America's best selling truck for 48 years. And that's a record. I believe that is the best record out there in the auto industry, isn't it?
I would think, yeah. I can't think of any vehicle that's best selling anywhere near 43 years.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there you have it, the F 150. Let's move over to Alfa Romeo. It's another brand, a great brand, but it has some trouble. And part of the trouble was, I think, that they're a little bit too expensive. People come in, and I think they somehow don't think Alfa should be as expensive as they are when they walk in. Um, and Alpha thought, well, we'll get around this by doing a Tonale, a small crossover. But the problem was, it's not really a problem in the sense of technology, but the problem was in the sense of cost. They are all plug-in hybrids up until now. So plug-in hybrids mean the thing has got to at least be into the 40s, but in many cases these things were a lot more expensive. They were 50,000 and over, especially if you got one of the high-end models, right?
Well, that's right. They consequently, um, Alpha hasn't been competitive price-wise, and looks like they've just been really clever since they've got the Stelvio, which is beginning to get a little long in the tooth.
Right.
They've got the Tonale, which frankly isn't much different. It's not a stripped down anything.
No, no,
Uh,
that's for sure.
Actually, 268 horsepower is pretty pretty decent.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know about the green color there, but with but
And by
that's
the way, this is not the new model, the entry level model. I don't think they come with those phone dial wheels, but maybe I'm wrong. Uh,
I don't
the
know.
story here is that now you can buy one of these for under $37,000.
Yeah,
They it is no longer a plug-in hybrid. It is just a normal uh, front-wheel drive model with that 268 horsepower, 295 pound-feet of torque, four-cylinder. Starts at $36,535, which is $9,500 cheaper than the plug-in
yeah,
variant.
and also cheaper than the BMW X1 and the Cadillac XT4 and the Mercedes GLA. That's significant.
Yeah, it is. And do you think the fact that all of them were plug-in hybrids made that something people sought out and they found it unique, or do you think they were surprised that it was a plug-in hybrid and they were probably surprised that it cost as much as it did?
It's hard to say, but what it's going to do is get a lot more people into the showrooms to take a look at these.
Yeah. Yes, it is. And I think they really have to boost that starting price and push it. Push it. I mean, not boost it. They
That'll
have to.
that'll be a pretty inexpensive lease.
It will, and I think they're looking for volume here. Once again, I wonder, was this idea of bringing in the non-plug-in hybrid version in the works before there's the big change up? Carlos Tavares left, or is this like the triage that they're doing now because they haven't wasted any time? They are really looking to build sales. And as you know, the big problem with Stellantis and Ram trucks and Jeep and all that,
Yep.
they had the wrong mix of two. The vehicles were too expensive. They were too highly optioned. Even Jeep kind of reconfigured the pricing on their Gladiator. So I'm wondering if this is just kind of Alpha's way of doing this. Um, Alpha's way of kind of coming up with a way to get more people into the showroom, just similar to what Ram
Yeah.
did. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it
I
might be.
I think I've always had a soft spot for Alpha, and they've never been a huge market share in the U.S. Because they've typically been more expensive, but they're very unique. They're all fun to drive. Uh, you got to drive one.
Yeah, you got to
That's all
drive
I
one.
can
Dan,
say.
what was the saying? You if
If you have never owned an Alpha, you're not really a car guy.
that's a
And
that's a big statement, right?
that can be fighting words, but
Yeah, yeah. I think
yeah,
that might be a big statement, but it's certainly worth a drive and checking out. And that tonality being more obtainable is a great thing. So
yeah,
we'll keep you up to date on that. I also think we'll see a lot of other Stellantis models that are going to be cost reduced. I wonder if they'll bring back the Ram Classic. Remember that was their vehicle that basically was the old version of the Ram, but they kept it going. They made a lot of money with it. And it was the least expensive pickup truck. I believe it was $40,000. That was the least
yeah.
expensive for an older
When
model
when everything else was 50,
when everything else was 50.
and it
Yeah.
wasn't stripped out. It was very well equipped.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there you have it. There you have it. Have you thought about buying a ZR1, Les Jackson?
I have not. I don't know where to park it.
That's your main problem.
Um, I I don't know which checking account to use for it
Okay.
because most of them are much lower than the value of a ZR1, but it's one heck of a machine.
Yeah. It was recently revealed that the 0 to 60 time on this is 2.3 seconds. 2.3 seconds. That comes with a GM warranty, too.
That's Think about that. That means a quarter mile of 9.5 seconds, and
Wow.
it used to be just an absolute, you know, pumped out monster. It took to get you quarter mile in 9.5 seconds.
Yeah, I think too that like the Hot Rod Power Tour, where they would have guys driving a 9 second car on the street, and it's
Oh,
stripped out, it's loud, it's a race car, and a 9 second car in drag racing is a fast car. That is like a super gas car or something like that.
yeah,
990 is the index on those. So this thing is capable of those speeds. Plus, you can have the air conditioning on, and
I
and
love it.
the stereo. It blows my mind. It's actually faster than the super gas car. They're
It's
indexed at
a
990, so this is 9.7 seconds.
it's a world class supercar.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And I guess as we will go back to Taz Juchter, who, when he started building these things or designing them, he never thought he would build a vehicle that would be that fast and have over 1,000 horsepower. 1,064, by the way.
It's remarkable. So yeah, so to get a quarter mile in 9.6 seconds, which is I think it does about a
9.7.
9.7. It does about 135 at the end of that quarter mile, or 152.
Wow. That
152. So 0 to 1 152 in less than 10 seconds. Uh, It's like being launched off of an aircraft carrier.
Yeah, and These tests were done with 93 octane gas in the tank, um, stock tires, which were Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2R tires. And also, the drag strip was not prepped, so no glue was sprayed down on the surface. It wasn't, other than,
Just try.
obviously a clean surface. So basically, if they had sprayed the track, it could have probably launched even harder and got even better traction. Who knows?
And if you'll remember this, because we were together at the Milan Proving Grounds in about 2000
Yep.
with Chevrolet, and
Right.
John Moss, their guru of speed, had prepped a Camaro with a 900 horsepower engine
Yes.
and a passenger seat that if you were crazy you could get in it. and and it did a 9 second quarter mile, and it couldn't be used for anything else.
No. No, you wouldn't hear the stereo over the open headers.
Yeah. You got in it, right?
Yeah, I was in it, and it was a wheels up, wheel stand launch,
I
and
said I took the 900 horsepower Cadillac Escalade out just for just for
yeah,
fun.
remember that, the toy box? Yeah,
Yeah, the
yeah,
toy box. Yeah.
yeah. It was quite the thing, quite the thing. So, hey, we're gonna be back with some more cruise control after this. So stay tuned. You're on air automotive magazine. Plenty more to go with Fred Staub and Les Jackson. We'll be right back.
Cruise control.
Hey, welcome back. Welcome back. We're going to go over to Nissan right now
Yep.
and price out the Ariya, whatever the way you want to pronounce it.
I think it's
It's
it's area, isn't it?
I think it's Ariya. It's a
Yeah.
it's nice because they've always been stylish with their SUVs. This is
Yes.
also stylish,
I would say
uh,
stylish. Yes.
and it's electric. But the fact is, it's a Nissan. It's a great company. We all know that they're in financial trouble, but that's going to get taken care of, I'm sure, by the summer when they become a division of Honda.
You know, I'll
Uh,
just bring that up for one moment. There's an interesting comment from the head of Honda, and they said, "Well, what are the?" Some journalists asked him a fair question. He said, "What are the benefits of this merger with Nissan for Honda?" And he kind of scratched his head and like, "I don't know,"
well,
which is an
that
honest answer, but
that's
probably not a good one.
yeah. Well, it was. I'd say it was bad timing for the answer
yeah,
because
I
they wouldn't be standing there announcing it if
maybe I've been around media too much, but if someone asked me that, I would say, there is unlimited potential with this partnership. We have to
That's right.
explore all the ways we can work together and build a great roster of vehicles for the future. How's that?
That's great. Also, your job, you were planning and preparing to come before the international press
Right.
announcing that you're going to be buying
and,
Nissan.
and merging two giant
So
companies.
you would think you had something prepped to say. That's kind of the first question that people are going to ask. But
I'll give you
I
another
think,
one. We can say because of these two companies coming together, we can explore other areas, alternative fuels, self-driving vehicles. We can leverage all of our abilities to make even better vehicles, anything like that. And I
and
didn't know I'm not going to be asked about it.
and I would be standing there saying, well, there are many uh, advantages to merging with Nissan, and one of them is that we are both companies of engineers,
That's
and
great.
we work together. We collaborate as engineers, and that means great products and more of them. How's
Yeah,
that?
I like that too, but probably
Yeah.
not. Yeah, I don't really know why we're doing.
Yeah.
I,
Why are you getting married, Bob? I don't know.
I someone told me
Uh,
to do it. You know,
yeah.
I don't know. I don't really know why they did that or why he said that. But anyway, it doesn't matter because we're going to look at the area, right?
That's right. And yes. And we'll be
um,
looking at the merger many times later.
absolutely. So let's talk about the range of prices for this. This is 2025. It starts at 39,770 with a front wheel drive Engage model. And then if you want a all-wheel drive, what they call E-Force, with a 4 the 4 ORCE, with a 66 kilowatt battery, 43,770. Um, and then you go up the range. Evolve Plus front wheel drive, 44,370. Engage Plus E-Force, 45,370. I think that's probably going to be the one that people buy the most, with a
I
bigger
think you're
battery and
right.
all-wheel drive, the first step there. And then you keep going up for more equipment. Evolve Plus, 48,370. Platinum E-Force. Also, they all have the 91 kilowatt hour battery, 54,370. Destination 1390. I have to say, this could be, and people are going to hate me for this. Don't hate me for this. Don't put this in the comments that you hate this. But here's the thing. Um, this is an affordable electric vehicle. This is an affordable crossover vehicle. Even if you take everything and say, give me the Platinum Plus E-Force for 54,370, and you tack on the somewhat affordable $1,390, you and I know that is an affordable destination and
It
handling
is. It
charge.
is. All the other electrics are
500
more.
more.
Yeah.
This could be a great vehicle, and it's stylish. I
It
mean,
is.
don't you think most people would get all-wheel drive? I'm thinking most people would.
Well, I'm not so sure of that. I mean, anybody that lives basically below the Mason-Dixon line, or certainly below the South Carolina level, they're not going to get all-wheel drive. They don't need it.
Yeah, that's true.
But
Oh,
but the north, you're kind of crazy if you don't.
right.
So uh, still, uh, if you if even if you do get it, it's kind of a bargain.
It is. It really is. And here's some good news for it too. The Insurance Institute for Highway Safety in 2024 gave it a top safety pick plus. That's top safety pick. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, designation. And it was named one of Ward's 10 best engines and propulsion systems, helping it make a simple switch to electric vehicles. It's covered by the EV Carefree Plus Customer Care Initiative, which supposedly gives owners a positive, stress-free experience with their EV.
It's pretty
And
impressive.
it is, and it can be part of the recently launched Nissan Energy Charge Network. They get a benefit of an additional access to 17,800 Tesla superchargers, and yeah, it's pretty good deal. And I think there are incentives already on this vehicle.
Yeah, I believe so. State and federal.
And I believe they have some rebates on it too already, Nissan. So I
I'll
look
tell you.
forward to driving it actually, and it's not a bad vehicle. Would you have
And
any
I
hesitation buying a Nissan vehicle?
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. And because Nissan's a very good company,
Yeah,
whether they're in financial trouble or not, they're a very, very good car company.
yeah. Hey,
So,
I
by the way,
I
the interior reminds me of the Nissan Maximas.
which are, believe it or not, still made. I did not know that. That they're still being made by,
I didn't know that either.
and
That's
they
a great
always
car.
get rated as one of the best cars to drive. They get
Yeah.
rated as a great car to drive and one that's enjoyable, an enjoyable sedan. So I don't know. This could be a good one. I just thought of something. There's a parking garage near me, and it has superchargers in it for Teslas, and it says Tesla only parking. Now
Hmm.
that that's opening up, I wonder how they're going to change that. Because it won't be. It will be Fords and Nissans and others, right, as that develops. So
For everybody.
yeah, I wonder. It's going to be an interesting dynamic when this happens because I have some friends that are Tesla owners and they're none too happy about it. Um,
Well,
but I
uh,
said, but it's coming, so it's not going to be like a guy
yeah.
shows up with his Nissan or his Kia and starts charging it, and you're like, hey, get out. But it's kind of a weird dynamic in certain charging areas.
There's a bit of an arrogance among Tesla owners that isn't a I'm better than you type arrogance, but it's a I'm more of a pioneer in the electric world, and you're just
Yeah.
a you're just a newcomer.
Well,
Um, but it's not true.
yeah. Yeah, it will be interesting to see how this all plays out. Let us know what you think. If you're a Tesla owner, do you feel you're a pioneer and maybe you should still reap the benefits of your supercharger network by yourself? How do you feel about these interlopers coming in and saying, I'm going to
What? But
charge?
yeah, but Tesla's using other people's chargers
That's true. That's true.
that with the dual connectors.
Yeah, and it's interesting. One manufacturer, I believe I have the story here. Yeah, Hyundai is going to send out, or if you request them, free NACS DC EV adapters to enhance the charging convenience of EV owners. Current Hyundai EV customers are eligible to receive free North American charging standard adapters. That is the Tesla standard, which has become basically the standard. They will do that starting in the first quarter of 2025. Adapters will also be available for purchase through Hyundai authorized dealers. But hey, if you can get one free, why not, right?
Why not?
You know, and that adapter ensures Hyundai EV drivers will have access to more than 38,000 NACS and combined charging systems, which is CCS, DC fast chargers in the United States. And by the way, the 2025 Hyundai Ioniq 5 is the first non-Tesla vehicle on sale to feature factory-installed native NACS port. Get the free charger, because I'm telling you, whatever charger you can get, whatever charging station,
Get it.
yeah, I've had that experience where I've gone to 3 that don't work, and then the fourth one was Uber guys saying that that was only for Uber drivers. But what are you going to do?
Well, but why? Well, but did Uber pay for that?
No, they're just saying that.
Well, then it's not.
It would be like going into the supermarket and say, "I own this aisle. You're not allowed to.
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
not allowed to go here."
Well, good for you. But I'm going to use it.
Yes, and I remember they were using vehicles with like a 200-mile range, electric range, and I wondered why they were doing that for Uber, just because it doesn't seem like the right tool for the job. It's sort of like using a screwdriver as a torque wrench. But apparently there are certain people that use Uber that will only ride in electric cars. They pay extra to. So, but I just think that's not the best one for it. I would get something different. And if I wasn't worried about, I'd get a hybrid any day. I'd get a Camry hybrid.
It's the best way to go.
Yeah. And 600 miles of range, you can drive a lot before you have to gas up, and that would be my bet. I don't know why they were using these 200-mile range electric cars, but it seems like instead of making money, you're just charging, Who knows? Who knows?
Yep.
All right. You are listening to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine with Fred Staub and Les Jackson. Don't forget to throw us a comment if you're watching the stream, and let's see what you have to say about some of the stories we've been working on. We've got another one. Honda is developing new gas engines, Les Jackson. They will be used in hybrids, and earlier in 2024, they had announced that they had stopped spending money on combustion engines. However, now they are back spending money again.
Yeah. Well, that's because they've come up with another 4-cylinder that it can extend the RPM range where the engine is most efficient.
Okay.
Which, by the way, is about 2,750 RPM. Don't ask me to explain it.
But that's not
because I will.
But it's not revving to the
No. Anyway. So this is very significant. That means that you've got something that's thermally efficient, much more so, 40%.
Yeah.
More. So that's, man, I mean, you want to use that.
Yes, you do. These are Atkinson cycle. I mean, if you can explain the Atkinson cycle briefly, we don't need to build one. We just need to understand it.
No, the problem is you really need to have a diagram.
Okay.
But what you're doing is recovering heat during the cycle.
I believe in recovering heat. That's energy that's just
absolutely, heat is energy
going to waste. Yeah. I think they should recover heat from catalytic converters that really build up heat.
I agree. If nothing else, use it to heat the car.
Yeah, heat the car, and who knows. But this is kind of similar to what we've heard about from Subaru. Subaru, of course, has their strong hybrid coming out. We think the first the first vehicle to have that will be the Forester in 2026, in the 2026 model year, maybe sooner, maybe even this year. But they have the Boxer engine, the 2.5, and they said, well, it's a new engine, but it has less horsepower than the standard 2.5, right? The standalone 2.5. And people are like, why? Well, I think it's something like this. It's been designed to run on the Atkinson cycle, and
Sure.
that, along with 120 horsepower electric motor, ends up being a lot more horsepower than the regular 2.5. So a lot of people were asking, why did it lose horsepower? Probably because they made it more efficient, right?
Exactly. And there's an advantage to more horsepower. You overcome the car's basic taxable horsepower loss.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me started on that. Yeah.
It's not April yet. We don't have to talk about taxes, do we?
No. No, you're right. You're right.
Well, this is encouraging news, and it's great engineering. They're doing this for hybrid vehicles, Honda is, and also on some of the hybrids, they have done a weight reduction of nearly 200 pounds with a simplified body structure that will cut 10% of the fat over existing hybrids. So more horsepower in some cases and less weight. That sounds
Mm-hmm.
like better performance, doesn't it?
It's more efficient. Simple as that.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, we're going to take just a little break here on Cruise Control. When we come back, we've got plenty more to get to. We're going to talk about paying more for insurance. Why are we doing that? Well, we are. And Mini cuts one of its models before they even release it. Man, we'll talk about that and more on Cruise Control.
Cruise Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Fred Staub and Les Jackson taking you on a ride around the automotive industry. We've been covering a lot of stories about new vehicles, some pricing, and some new technology. But now we're going to talk about Mini. And what a lot of people were excited about was the Cooper SE convertible. This is their electric powered convertible, and it was a big announcement about it, and people were really excited about this, and a lot of positive reception, and sources close to the company now are reported to the BMW blog that the modernized Cooper E and SE are canned. In other words, they're not going to build them, and they're axing the open-air Cooper E and SE Mini, and they seem to be changing their plan for the hardtop as well, which is kind of sad. I mean, because a Cooper lends itself to being a great electric vehicle, doesn't it?
It does. And I don't, well, I mean, we've been in this industry for 30 years plus. I don't ever recall any company dropping a new product just when they were going to unveil it.
Yeah. Well, now here's a reasoning, a potential reasoning for this. Right now, the vehicle is built in China, and it is
Ah,
a co-production of Great Wall cars and Mini. Obviously, that guarantees you're going to be paying big tariffs. Guarantees.
hmm
Uh, it started out as 25% tariff. Now it's what, like 105 or something like that. Makes it ridiculous. Nobody's going to buy it. Now they eventually hope to build this in the Oxford plant in England, which would probably circumvent tariffs potentially, but they might have to build it in the U.S. But this is what was killing it, and I think we're going to see more of this happening as tariffs change and people are basically united against cheap Chinese cars, and they're going to see building the Mini in China as a problem, and we'll give it big tariffs. What's interesting here too, Les, we're going to
yeah.
do a story,
Well, yeah. Plus an uncertain future.
an
Uh,
uncertain future. Yes, I
yeah.
mean,
And yeah.
I'll throw this in. Lincoln had a great year in 2024, but thanks to the Nautilus, which is a large SUV, guess where the Nautilus is built? In China.
Yeah.
So it may come to the point where you can't buy that. But what do you think? Will they? This is a great question now because will they spend the money to build this, let's say, in the U.S.? Because I guess you wouldn't get a tariff if you built it in England. I
No, of
guess not.
course. Why not? Why not build it at the Spartanburg plant or add on to the Spartanburg, South Carolina plant? This is a limited production vehicle anyway. Um, I think they would spend less money doing that than they would building it somewhere else and paying tariffs and all the other costs associated to it.
Well, here's the thing. Could they? It has a base price of around $35,000. Um, but you know, if they build it in the U.S., could they build it for that? And it is a limited appeal vehicle, right? It is.
It is, but it's a mini,
Does this
and
call
there's always
for
a market.
hiring people if it's a mini? If it's a small output vehicle, maybe they hire companies like Magna Steyr, but the U.S. versions of this, like
Hmm
someone like a Hennessy or something, to build like 100 copies of it, and they build it in
Heck,
the
I'll
U.S.
build it in my garage.
Get your tools here. Who's got those wire cutters? I need some.
I can do that.
It's a quick little vehicle. 308 horsepower,
Whew.
which is quite a lot in that package, right?
It really is. Minis are quick anyway. At less than 200,
Yeah,
300. This thing is a stormer.
yeah, yeah. So it's I hope it gets built somewhere. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. But maybe they're rethinking electric vehicles in general. I mean, minis are pretty efficient to begin with, right?
And they have some breathing room. Right now, electric vehicles aren't selling the way the whole industry thought they would. So that gives you some time to shift and make some internal changes. Um, The biggest of which is don't build it in China.
Do you think it will get to be like they did with the Sprinter, where they had knockdown kits, where they just took off, they built it somewhere else, they then took off enough parts like the front
Hmm.
clip and some other things, wheels, and sent it over as a kit, and they put the parts back on in South Carolina, and that qualified as building it in the U.S.
Why not?
You know, the chicken tax,
It's
as they call it.
it all comes in parts anyway at the factory.
Yeah, these were knockdown kits. So
They're components. They're not building the door at the factory. It comes as a door.
yeah, interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. Let's talk
Yeah,
about insurance. Apparently, insurance has gone up tremendously. Um,
tremendously.
and there's a good article recently about uh, paying more for insurance, and that people thought, well, what? Why am I gone up? The annual car insurance premiums of 2024 cost 26% more than they did last year on average.
Hmm.
Um, but why has that happened? Highest insurance rates in the U.S. are in Florida. The annual premium weighs in at almost $4,000, which is 2.3 times more than Vermont, where the average premium is about $1,654. Um, so the surge in premium started back in 2021, and it hasn't stopped. And they say it's due to car complexity. A bumper is no longer a bumper. It now has sensors in it and
Yep.
a lot of different things like that. Um, but there's probably more to it than that. I would imagine. I think they got used to the high premiums and didn't want to go back, right?
Well, another thing is that a fairly good sized portion of the driving public can't afford insurance, so they don't insure them,
So they just don't do it.
and you have uninsured motorist fees and all that. But this all costs the insurance industry a lot of money. Um, and then you have the aging baby boomers,
Mm-hmm.
and when you reach that age, of which I am familiar, um, y- your risk of crashing is about the same as a not terribly well experienced teenager.
Well,
So you're paying, you know, uh, a lot more than you were like 10 years before. So all of these things just
shouldn't,
catch up
though, that some of this be mitigated by buying a new vehicle with pedestrian braking and cross traffic alert and lane
somewhat,
keeping? And do you
somewhat.
get
Yeah.
discounts for those?
You get
You
discounts, but you're still paying more because of the collision costs.
to cause to repair all
You know,
that
your
costs more money.
right, your
Yeah.
your collision rate um, goes up, and yeah, I mean the least expensive car company is USAA, but you have to have been in the military or in a military family
Mm-hmm.
to be in it. And even that, I haven't looked at our premiums, but I'm thinking for our two cars, we're somewhere between 12 and 1500.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. And it's an interesting situation. Now, this is of course, we have to bring in the Cybertruck, because what
Yes,
show
we
would
do.
be what would cruise control be without talking about the Cybertruck? So, Progressive Insurance is penalizing Cybertruck owners who frequently drive using Tesla's full self-driving software because of hard braking and fast acceleration, and that results in a 51% premium increase. So what this is you they are part of Progressive's setup called Snapshot, where they put a sensor in your car in the port OBD2 port, and they kind of monitor what you're doing as far as throttle response and things like that.
Yep.
And so the idea is if you drive carefully, you will get a lower premium. But when the Cybertruck full self-driving takes over, apparently it didn't get the memo.
Well, okay. First of all, hard braking, except in emergencies, is just stupid. If that's a habit, it's dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Period. Secondly, hard, jump. Well, it used to be called jackrabbit starts. Remember that?
Yeah, right.
Years ago, that was, and that was, you actually could get a ticket for that at sometimes, and that is essentially dangerous, but it's also it's using much more fuel, even though it's electricity.
Right.
You're limiting your situational awareness, so you ought to pay more because you're driving not safely.
Yeah. Well,
Sorry.
I've seen a lot of people drive not safely. They ought to somehow monitor rapid lane changes without leaving room.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how. I think that should tack on a few dollars to your bill, right?
Absolutely. So I don't blame Progressive, honestly. It's all about risk.
Yeah, and apparently it has not. It has not. Smoothness in driving is not part of that, but
Well,
I'm not a fan of these snapshot type systems, though. That's just
well, I'm not either, and I'm not a fan of the full self-driving software because it ain't.
we're just not fans. That's it.
Well, don't get me started on that.
We're just not fans. That's
Yeah,
we'll
it's
leave it
hype.
at that.
It's just
Yeah,
hype.
yeah. But there you have it. And let us know in the comments. Would you do the snapshot type system from Progressive or something similar where you're monitored as you drive with an OBD2 system sending the data? I think that's kind of like taking stuff out of context too. If a deer runs across the street, you will have to brake rapidly, but it's not because you're being careless. You're trying to not have an accident, right?
Exactly.
So, or if you have to overspeed for a second because a truck is barreling down and about to hit you,
Yeah.
I would say time to hit the loud button.
Right. If you're jumping onto the shoulder or heading out into a field to avoid being hit,
Yeah.
that's not bad driving.
No. So sometimes you have to do what you have to do. Yeah. What do they say in a aircraft situation? First, aviate.
Aviate, navigate, communicate.
Right. So that's what I'd say. And maybe in these snapshot systems, it's communicating because you had to aviate a little bit to deal with something that you didn't have to. It took you out of your normal driving realm. But anyway, we hope you've enjoyed this at the wheel review. We hope you've enjoyed this edition of Cruise Control. I was going to do an at the wheel review. We hope you've enjoyed this edition of Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Don't forget to check us out on all our social media platforms. There's a lot of them. Time for me to say I'm Fred Staub.
I'm Les Jackson.
We are going to see you down the road.
Bye.